I can't be held accountable for something that somebody looked like me did, and you should not benefit from something that somebody you were related to. Now, you'll probably say systemic racism and how that passed down through generations. Happy to address that. The problem with reparations, though, is basically what you're saying is, I'm going to take money from Charlie Kirk for something he didn't do and give it to a group of something, to somebody of something they also didn't do. For what reason? How is that just?
Charlie Kirk finishes this man coming on here and begging for reparations. This gentleman up here comes up telling Charlie, trying to make the argument that black people deserve reparations for all that they've suffered in this country. And Charlie Kirk is just not having it and proceeds to completely destroy him. Let's see how Charlie Kirk responds to Mr. Give Me Reparations.
Just got a question for you here. How do you feel about the black community receiving reparations?
I'm against that. Yeah.
Okay. Well, why so?
Well, first of all, what is the black community? So, for example, do you mean like recent immigrants from Haiti or Nigeria?
I do not. No.
Okay, for sure. So you're meaning like ancestral descendants of slaves.
Correct.
That
Yes,
could
sir.
be proven with documentation.
Absolutely.
Right? Okay. So to be consistent, do you believe that other groups that have been mistreated in America should also receive reparations?
What are those other groups?
Well, they're not necessarily by America, but let's just take one. Jewish Americans, right?
Okay.
They almost got eliminated in the Holocaust. Should they receive reparations?
Not from us.
Okay, not from us.
Not
but-
from the United States, that is.
Okay. So here's my view, and I want to hear yours,
Okay.
which is that I did not own slaves, and you were not a slave.
Correct.
You know, it's just that they brought up different groups, and that was the first thing that came to my mind were Japanese people for their treatment during, I forgot which time period, but after Pearl Harbor, I believe it was, the Japanese people were put into internment camps because of that whole conflict. So do they deserve reparations? You know, that's the question. That's the whole what we go into once we open up this this can of worms about reparation.
We are individuals, and therefore we cannot be held accountable or should receive something from something that didn't happen to us or something we did not do. That is a basic law of justice, that I can't be held accountable for something that somebody looked like me did, and you should not benefit from something that somebody you were related to. Now, you'll probably say systemic racism and how that passed down through generations. Happy to address that. The problem with reparations, though, is basically what you're saying is, I'm going to take money from Charlie Kirk for something he didn't do and give it to a group of something, to somebody of something they also didn't do. For what reason? How is that just?
So not so much how is it just, but there are those arguments that says because of what happened in the past, this group of people have been negatively affected from this nation's crimes against humanity to that certain group of people. And that's how we see it, or how some people see it, if you will.
Okay, sure, but I will say that even if there is some truth to that, which I wouldn't even be willing to grant very much, because Black America was doing incredibly well before the not incredible, they were pacing to be even richer than white America, is that we must look through the question of, is it just and moral to take from one group, especially first and second generation immigrants that had nothing to do with this. So think about it. Your tax base would be taxing, like, if anyone here is Irish or Polish and your family came 100 years ago, we would be taxing people that had nothing to do with it. And I'll go a step further. My family fought on the Union side of the Civil War, right? So you're going to be taxing Charlie Kirk, whose descendants fought to free the slaves, to go give money to people that were descended, from slaves. So,
and even with that guy's logic about, well, for the way that they're treated in the past has prevented them from, I guess, succeeding now, even though that's not necessarily true. But even with that logic, how would then giving them X amount of money going to solve that issue? How is that going to lift up African Americans as a whole in this country just by giving them money? Like that's not going to solve all of these problems. The problem isn't just that there are black people who don't have enough money or they're broke or something like that. It's the reasons why. There's deeper seated issues there in these communities that are holding some of these communities back from thriving. And just by giving them just X amount of money, all of them X amount of money, it's not going to help fix this. It would be putting a Band-Aid on a much larger issue at hand. But what do you guys think about that? Sound off in the comments below. Subscribe to my channel if you like content like this. Give the video a like. Let's continue.
is a way that we could try to help all communities. Here's maybe we can find some common ground,
Sure,
right?
listen.
Instead of reparations.
Sure.
Is that we need to break the cartel of public sector teacher unions, allow school choice to occur and make it easier for people of all backgrounds, but specifically Hispanic and Black individuals and young kids to have a quality education, because a good education in K through 12 is one of the most assured ways that they'll be able to succeed later in life. Secondly, we need to put fathers back in the home.
Yeah, I agree with that.
And that's 70% of Black kids are raised without a stable father in this in the country. So if we can find common ground on that, I think that would go a lot further than just giving cash for people that happen to be related to something evil that happened a little while ago.
Absolutely. Charlie Kirk is 100% correct. But also, too, how do you measure this? Like, do you have to be full Black in order to get reparations? What if you're just a quarter Black? What if you're half Black? What if you're just an eighth Black? Like, how does it work? Like, how do you measure, like, who gets what money? And again, yeah, and from whom? Like, it just opens up this whole thing. And it's like, how do we figure this out? Like, how do we divvy up this money? Who does this money come from? Do all taxpayers pay this money? Or is it just white people that have white owner descendants? Like here in California, they're trying to do it, and so far nothing has been accomplished yet. Like there's a whole program set aside for it in California right now, but no money has been divvied out or anything like that. Like it's a whole console right now. They're trying to figure it out, and so far they haven't. And it doesn't even make any sense because California wasn't even a slave state. So make that make sense. But yeah, they're trying to figure it out. Nothing's happened yet. I think it's been about a year now since that whole thing was passed or that whole thing was started. Nothing's come of it yet because how do you do it? How do you do it? And okay, and what if you're mixed? Like what if you're half Black, half white, and let's say your white side were descendants from slave owners, and then your Black side was descendants of slaves. Like, well, what do you give yourself money? Like, how does it work? It's kind of ridiculous. But like I and Charlie Kirk said here, it's not going to fix the more deep-seated issue. I also believe in a lot of these Black communities, there's a culture problem that we need, I think, fixed because it's deep-seated in the quote-unquote Black culture. And no, I don't mean all Black people are like this, but I mean there is a specific culture that a lot of Black people fall into that needs to be fixed, or we need to start, I don't know, like not shaming, but we need to stop glamorizing it is what I should say. But yeah, we need to go through the deep-seated issues here, the deep-rooted issues, and not just, well, here's some money, which will be a little temporary fix, but it won't do anything to fix the deeper problems. But what do you guys think? Sound off in the comments below. If you like seeing Charlie Kirk own people, I have a whole playlist for you in the corner right here, and I got some other goodies for you on the screen too. Click away and enjoy.